Side Hustle Show 294, how to start an online store with no ideas and no inventory and still sell 300 grand worth of stuff in your first year. It's a dropshipping side hustle case study. What's up? Nick Loper here. Welcome to the Side Hustle Show, because multiple streams of income is the new black. It was that search for an extra income stream that led Rene Delgado to consider e-commerce, selling physical products online. He was especially attracted to the idea of dropshipping, where your suppliers ship products directly to customers on your behalf. You have no inventory risk. You don't have to worry about storage. You don't have to stand in line at the post office. And in this episode, you're going to hear how Rene went from having this interest in dropshipping to selling $300,000 worth of bounce houses in 2017. That was his first full year in business, all on the side from his day job. So how do you arrive at bounce houses and creating bouncehousestore.com? Well, he went through a very specific product research process he shares in this episode. So stay tuned to hear all about that, along with how Rene set up his supplier relationships, how he built his storefront, and how he made his first sales, and how the business runs today. Notes and links for this episode, plus a free downloadable PDF highlight reel summary with all of Rene's top tips from the call, are at sidehustlenation.com/Rene. That's RENE. As you're about to hear, Rene wasn't afraid to take action, and he made a couple important investments in his side hustle education. And that's actually where our sponsor Skillshare.com comes in. Skillshare is the online learning community with over 20,000 classes in marketing, business, social media, and tons more. Basically, any skill you need to get your side hustle off the ground or take it to the next level. These are practical, on-demand classes taught by industry experts and insiders. And Skillshare is hooking Side Hustle Show listeners up with 2 months of unlimited access for just 99 cents. Hit up Skillshare.com/sidehustle to claim that deal. Again, you can check it out at Skillshare.com/sidehustle. I'd also like to thank TextExpander.com for sponsoring this episode. TextExpander helps you communicate smarter and faster, and is basically going to make you feel like a productivity ninja. How it works is you create your own keyboard shortcuts or snippets for things that you type or copy and paste all the time, like email addresses, URLs, proposals, directions, answers to your frequently asked questions. I've got dozens of these set up, and they save me a ton of time. TextExpander works on Windows, Mac, iOS, and you can even share snippets with other people on your team to power up their productivity too. I think you're going to love it. Visit textexpander.com/podcast for 20% off your first year. That's textexpander.com/podcast to power up your productivity today. I'll be back with my top takeaways from this chat with Rene after the interview. It was actually after an expensive real estate rehab project, another side hustle, that Rene turned his attention to dropshipping, and that's where the story starts. Ready? Let's do it.
I decided to switch gears and focus on something that I could do from anywhere in the world if I wanted to, and something that would provide passive or semi-passive income on a regular basis. So I just started doing some research, and I stumbled across dropshipping, and I signed up for a course, learned the ins and outs, and the rest is history. I mean, I think dropshipping was really attractive to me at that point in time, because it had a really low barrier of entry. It required a minimal financial investment on my part. There was no overhead, or, I didn't have to have any inventory or house anything. So the model really, really interested me.
Okay. Which course was it, if you mind sharing?
Yeah, it was Dropship Lifestyle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Anton and those guys have been, actually, for the sake of disclosure, a sponsor on the podcast this spring. So dropshiplifestyle.com if you want to check those guys out. Cool. So you invested in the course after the real estate debacle or the renovation project gone wrong, and said, okay, this might be the next side hustle. This might be the next thing. What was that process like? Either something that, the course walked you through a specific process, or what was the next step in getting from 0 to 1?
The course does a really great job in holding your hand, through the entire process. So you can go as quickly as you want or as slowly as you want. And I think the way that Anton's laid it out is really cool. So there's like a 21-day approach that walks you through everything from niche selection to website creation to contacting suppliers and getting approved, uploading products, all of that stuff. I didn't do it in 21 days. I think it took me like 2 months to get everything set up and get approved with suppliers. But in terms of the actions needed, the course does a really, really great job of telling you exactly what it is that you need to do. And then it's just action. You've got the tools that you need. You just got to take the action to go out and do it.
Tell me about that niche selection process. Like, how did you land on bounce houses?
Yeah. So I was kind of trying to go back through my notes in preparation for our chat today. And I don't really know how I stumbled across bounce houses. What I did to start out during the niche selection process was I made a list of like 150 various niches, and they varied in criteria, but primarily centered on, hey, the product's got to be more than $500. It's got to be drop ship friendly. It's got to be hard to find in stores, and it's got to have more than 20,000 unique searches in Google every single month. So with that criteria, I kind of started to create a list. It took me a couple of weeks. I got down to 150, and then I started narrowing down really just by purchase price. Obviously, the higher, the better. And then unique searches. And then ultimately also looking at trends and seasonality and also the cost of advertising. So how much was I going to have to spend per click to advertise these products? Using that criteria, I narrowed it down to 3 items and ultimately selected bounce houses.
Okay. So you can estimate the CPC advertising or the pay-per-click advertising with the Google keyword planner, yes?
Correct.
Okay. And when you say dropship friendly, what do you mean by that? Because these things have got to weigh hundreds of pounds. Like, that doesn't seem very shipping friendly in general. I don't know about dropshipping.
What I mean by dropship friendly is basically, can I establish a relationship with the manufacturer in which I would spend the capital to do all of the front end legwork for them? So build a website, offer their products for sale, and really just drive marketing from a paid standpoint and SEO standpoint. Can I pitch that to the manufacturer and get them to drop ship product from them directly to the end customer? So the way it works is I'll sell a product. I don't house the product. I don't have a warehouse or anything. So I sell the product to the customer at full retail value. I then contact the manufacturer, submit a PO at wholesale cost, and then the manufacturer ships the product directly to the customer on my behalf. It's finding manufacturers that are willing to operate on a similar structure.
Do they advertise the fact that like they're willing to do that? Or is that kind of, you've got to make some calls and say, hey, this is the setup I'm considering doing. Would a few extra sales a month be appealing to you? Here's how it would work.
Yeah, most of the time, I mean, you've got to put in the work and actually pick up the phone and call these guys and kind of value proposition them. Some of them do, and you can tell really quickly if you go to like their website. They'll have like a link that says apply for a dealer application. And that lets you know right away, yeah, these guys are willing to, set you up as a dealer, distributor, wholesaler. The other guys, you've got to give them a call and you've got to get in touch with the right person and basically tell them what it is that you're trying to do, establish a relationship, and hopefully they say yes. They don't always say yes, but enough of them do that it allows you to create the store.
And I imagine you need to have a critical mass. Would you want to build something around if you just had 1 or 2 suppliers?
Ideally, no.
Okay.
You'd want to diversify. I think on like the Bounce House store, I don't have a crazy amount of suppliers. I think I've got like 6 suppliers, 7 suppliers, something like that. But the more you can get, the better. With something like a Bounce House, there's so many different manufacturers out there that it can get to the point in which if you offer too many commercial bounce houses, it can get a little bit overwhelming just because they're all fairly similar. Like nobody's got a very, very unique commercial bounce house now.
Okay.
They're just built tough. They're built to last. Nobody's got like, the license to go out and sell Disney bounce houses or anything like that. There used to be, but not anymore. So.
Okay. For these initial 150 potential niches, was this just like Googling, product lists that cost more than $500? Like just to even have the creativity to come up with 150 potential products seems impressive to me.
It's kind of crazy. Initially I didn't think I'd be able to like come up with 20 of them, but now you start looking for certain things and you'll start noticing items that you can sell all around you. I'm just sitting in my office now and, I've got a big glass office door. I'm sure that could be sold online. Office desk, office chair. Once you start to know what it is that you need to look for, you start catching things, and I would just jot down anything. Another thing that I used to do, I used to travel a little bit for work, and when I was at the airport, I would go to the, like the magazine stand, and I would look at like the niche specific magazines that they had, whether it was fly fishing, golf. I remember one thing that I picked up from one of those magazines. It was related to boats. And one of the items that I wrote down was like life rafts, right?
Okay. Something that's like huge and bulky.
Yeah, exactly. It could be anything as long as it's expensive, dropship friendly, things of that nature.
Like a giant wakeboarding rack or something for a boat, or
yeah, definitely.
Like a windsurfing setup or something. Okay. What happens next? So you call up the suppliers, the manufacturers, and say, hey, this is something I'm thinking of doing. You get a handful of those people to say, yes, we're game. What happens next? So
the next step, what I did was I had like a dummy website up before I gave these guys a call so that they could see, what the website would look like, kind of the structure, etc. So once you get approved, I got their wholesale price sheets. They gave me all of the literature and photos and specs and everything with respect to their products. So the next thing is really just going into Shopify, which is the e-commerce platform that I use, and uploading the products. So basically, writing the copy for the product descriptions, editing images to make them the right size, putting alt tags on them so it makes them SEO friendly, compressing them so they're not too bulky, creating collections. It's all of the back of house stuff that you've got to get set up prior to launch. Yeah, because I'm looking at the BounceHouseStore.com website now, and it's like really, or at least it appears to be really in depth. There's a bunch of different categories. There's like a 1-800 number. There's like a price match thing. There's an account feature for, if somebody has placed multiple orders and stuff like that. Tell me about this dummy website. Like, how much of this was here initially, or was it, is the same Shopify template that you used, just didn't have any products on there, or did you just pull product pictures from Google Images or something and like, this is what it's going to look like? No, so you have to get a little bit creative. The website, in terms of aesthetics and things of that nature, it looked fairly similar. The main thing was just having products uploaded onto the website before calling these guys. So let's say I want to get approved with supplier A. I would upload already supplier B's pictures and content and things of that nature and call supplier A and then redirect them to my website. So naturally, I didn't want to have their products already uploaded because I haven't established a relationship or even gotten approved with them. But the important thing is just to have something up on your website so that they can get a feel for what it's going to look like, and really just establishing that relationship with them and building that rapport. But it's not a blank website. Initially, there's products on there. They're just typically not the supplier's products that you're currently getting in touch with, if that makes sense. Okay, interesting. So you make it look like you're already working with their competitors, or at least another company that they will have heard of. Yeah, it's a fine line. Okay, that's really important to hear, I think. It's just like, well, yeah, you have to get a little creative, because it's like nobody wants to work with a completely unknown entity, but you need that first yes before you can even get going. Exactly. I'm curious, Rene, did you stress at all about competitors? I don't know if anybody else was doing this when you started, or if Amazon sells these products, or did you pay any attention to the competition that was out there? I did. And I think that that's an important element when considering a niche to enter for a couple of reasons. I mean, first and foremost, I'm really not interested in entering an overly saturated niche. If you've got 20 competitors that are focused on selling bounce houses, your slice of the pie is going to be much smaller than a niche that only has 2 main players or 3 main players. So it's definitely something to consider. Amazon clearly they sell bounce houses. I've only got one real big direct competitor right now, but other than them, and then like your typical brick and mortar, Target, Walmart, and then obviously Amazon, who's a big player in the e-commerce space. I don't really get too nervous about entering a niche just because Amazon or Walmart is there. And that's just because the way that I'm trying to position myself is as the expert and the leader in that particular niche. So if somebody is searching for a bounce house, and there's a store called the Bounce House Store, I think that goes a long way, especially when the store, has a lot of good past reviews, a lot of good content, useful information. It positions us as the leader in that space. And I think that people are equally as comfortable to purchase from somebody that's a leader in the space as opposed to Amazon or Walmart.
Yeah, absolutely. I use the same strategy for my footwear comparison shopping site back in the day. I was like, I need to have shoes in the URL. That was like my only criteria. I need to have shoes in the URL because it's going to appear to be more relevant than, Price Grabber or Next Tag or some of these other comparison engines that I was competing against.
Exactly.
So you mentioned Shopify as kind of the e-commerce back-end store builder. Any other tools, software, tech that went into it at the beginning?
Everything was within Shopify, really. So there are a lot of apps and extensions that I leverage and utilize that are available as like add-ons to your Shopify plan. I do use a lot of that. From a paid marketing standpoint, Google has a couple of tools that I use pretty regularly. Obviously, AdWords for your paid marketing, if you want to use search text ads, or Google Shopping. They've got the Google Merchant Center, Google Analytics, and then kind of the same thing with Bing. That's really it in a nutshell. There are other aspects of the business like email marketing and things of that nature that have their own tools. But outside of Shopify and the core, e-commerce side of things, that was pretty much it.
Yeah. Do you have an estimate of your total startup costs?
Including the course and everything else that went into it.
The course will add a lot to it.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say $4,000 to $5,000.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, relatively low overhead. I was just curious because like Shopify has got their, 2-week free trial. And then I think the base level is probably in the $30 a month range, $10 a year for a domain. It's like on the surface, it could be pretty affordable, but investing in some education, that'll add to it.
Yep, definitely.
Tell me about your first sales.
Yeah, so my first sale, I launched the store at probably the worst time to sell a bounce house, which was like right smack in the middle of winter. So I launched it at the beginning of December 2016, and I got my first sale like 3 days later. And that's kind of when you get that feeling, you hear that cha-ching from the Shopify app, and you're kind of like, oh my God.
Really? So middle of winter, 3 days after the launch, somebody bought one of these things?
Yeah, somebody bought one of those things.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. So obviously at that point, everything is new to me. So I look at the order. I got in contact with the manufacturer and said, hey, how do you want me to submit an order to you? And they said, this is a standard PO. So I had to create a PO template, submit that order over to them, submit payment. And then once they shipped it, I got the tracking info, popped it into Shopify, and then that's all she wrote. It was really cool. It's kind of a mixed feelings, really awesome experience. And then kind of like oh my God, what's next? But I'm a big believer that the only way to learn things is to actually get your hands dirty and really push through them. And after that, I mean, it's just the initial getting it done. And then after that, it's just repetition, really.
I mean, that's awesome to put something up and kind of have that, not immediate gratification, but 3 days, I've had people go months, before somebody ever found the site and made an order. So I think that's really cool. And then figuring it out as you go to say, okay, well, what do I do with it now? I got to figure out how to get this thing to the customer.
Yep.
Have you ever had any issues on the fulfillment side with flaky manufacturers or just like trouble with the shipping stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And that happens from time to time. So, it's not that big of a headache on some of the smaller bounce houses that we deal with, because those go out parcel, whether it's UPS or FedEx. The most common thing that we encounter is, hey, I put in the wrong shipping address. And those, it's pretty simple to fix. Typically, we have to get the manufacturer engaged, and we've got good relationships with them. So they'll get in touch with the carrier, and then they make the modification, and it's no big deal. When it gets to be a problem is when you're shipping a bounce house freight, and some of the bigger bounce houses that we sell, they all go out freight. So those items, you've got signature required on them because of the valuation. They go out freight, so you've got to deal with lift gates at time of delivery. It's more of a headache, and there's a lot more things that could go wrong.
That's got to cost you hundreds of dollars to ship that stuff.
It's expensive to ship. The big commercial bounce houses, at a minimum, I'd say like $300, and we've had shipments that shipping costs upwards of $1,000. So yeah, it definitely eats into the to the margins, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I should add that some of the prices on these giant commercial bounce houses are in the thousands of dollars. So, hey, if I'm going to spend $300 on shipping, okay, that makes sense. These are not cheap items.
Yep, you're correct.
Okay. I was just curious about the logistics side, because you're kind of essentially outsourcing that to the manufacturer and saying, I don't want to touch the product, which is, probably the biggest benefit of a drop shipping business, but maybe also a liability if, since you don't have control over it. What's driving traffic today? Is it the Google ad stuff or SEO, or what else is going on?
Initially, it was all paid traffic. So, it was Google search text ads, Google Shopping, and Bing. I've kind of tried to develop multiple inputs into the website. So one of the things that we focused really heavily on was SEO and organic. I think that the Bounce House store did a really great job in terms of paid traffic last year. And this year it's doing really, really well as well. But one of the areas that we were lacking in the spring and summer season last year was SEO. So we spent a lot of time and invested quite a bit of money into, content and SEO and outreach to other players in the field to kind of try to improve our page rank, obviously the relevancy of our store to searches, etc. And it's all paid off. We spent quite a bit of money investing in SEO over the fall and the winter months of 2017. But, when you look at Google Analytics these days, I'd say 50% or more of our traffic comes from organic search traffic. And our sales is something similar to that as well. And that's huge for me because I don't have to pay to bring people onto the website.
Yeah. It sounds like you paid for it in a different way. You just paid for it up front.
Yeah. No, but it's already
SEO service.
Yeah, it's already been very positive return on investment. I think the brunt of the SEO work has been done on the front end, and now we're just kind of reaping the benefits. But you've got SEO, paid search. I do a lot of retargeting on social media, some blog marketing, but it's really just organic traffic and paid marketing is the two big players now.
Yeah. It's a straight up e-commerce site, very transactional. And that's where Google really shines. It's like, I'm looking for this specific product. Hey, I've got it. And here's the price. Click here.
Yep.
What's your time commitment to manage this thing? I know you're still working full time. It seems like this is a pretty serious empire, pretty serious side hustle.
Yeah. So I've outsourced all of the day-to-day activities. So things like processing orders, updating inventory levels, PO submission, taking customer phone calls, responding to customer chats, emails, all of that stuff. I've outsourced that. So I've got a virtual assistant and she's great. She handles all of that for me now. I'm still probably a little bit too engaged from time to time. I like to I like to keep a close eye on things. So I still spend probably 2 hours a day, maybe just making sure that things are going okay. And I'll do that like in the early morning and in the evening, but outsourcing to a VA that I trust, and it's really freed up a lot of time, especially now in the spring and summer. It can get a little crazy.
This is like prime season for bounce houses.
Yeah, June is the hottest month for sales. It's,
okay.
May, June, July, and then August, it starts to kind of taper off.
Okay. Is it the virtual assistant that's answering the phone if somebody calls that 1-800 number?
Yep. She answers all the phone calls. She does everything customer facing, essentially.
Okay. So she's kind of on call full time, basically.
Yep, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central.
All right, fair enough. What's next?
There's a lot going on. I mean, I think I'm still not done improving and, making tweaks here and there and making the Bounce House store better. I think that there's still opportunities there, whether it's contacting other suppliers and manufacturers or doing more work behind the scenes to increase conversion rates or doing more SEO stuff. That's still all there. One of the other things that I've got spending a lot of time on currently is my second dropshipping store, which I opened up late summer of last year.
Okay.
That store takes quite a bit of time as well. The cool thing is that I've got two stores with opposite seasonality. So the Bounce House store is really popular in the spring and summer months, and this other store that I've got is really popular in the fall and winter. They kind of even each other out. That store is newer, obviously, so I spent a little bit more time on that one than I do the Bounce House store, but I think it did double the sales of the Bounce House store in its first year. So,
whoa.
Yeah, so it's doing really well.
These are crazy numbers. I can't even spit it out. And I don't know what your margins are like, but I imagine that's profitable at that revenue level. Do you see this becoming a full-time thing? Like, do you think you'd just be like a dropshipping mogul and quit the day job?
It's possible. I think that I would probably have to open up a couple more stores and get those set up. I think where we're at right now, this year on the Bounce House store through today, June 19th, we've already eclipsed sales for all of 2017.
Wow.
And our margins are roughly 13-14% after it's all said and done. So that it's not bad. I mean, that's probably like 45 grand, 50 grand, something like that. And then the other stores, similar 15% margins. It could possibly become into a full-time job. I personally like the security of having a full-time job, and I enjoy what I do. So it's not on my radar right now. That's not to say that, my goals and aspirations would change, but it's definitely viable, right? If I had to, I could.
Yeah, I think that's a side hustle that a lot of people would be very happy with. That 12 to 15% margin. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just curious, how does it all shake down at the end of the day after shipping and paying the suppliers and all this stuff? Anything else that we ought to know?
Drop shipping it's hard work. And that's kind of, why I'm not too scared about, disclosing what my store was, right? Because, the first time I disclosed it, there were a couple of copycat stores that popped up. I was very, very nervous at the time. But the main thing is you have to put in the work. It could be a full-time job. So the amount of work that's needed to get the store to a certain level, it can be pretty hardcore at times. A lot of people are really looking for a get-rich-quick kind of a scheme. So all those copycats that popped up, they only lasted a month or two, and they never really ate into my sales. So you've got to put in the work, and that's something that I've been committed to doing. So it's not too big of a concern for me. But I think next, more stores, obviously.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a repeatable system here. Now it's just a matter of finding the niches that meet your criteria. And of course, we'll include all those in the show notes for this episode, sidehustlenation.com/Rene. BounceHouseStore.com. Check him out. See what he's got going on over there. Rene, thank you for joining me. Let's wrap this thing up with your number one tip for Side Hustle Nation.
I say just do it. Just do it. I don't want to punt on Nike or anything, but just do the work. If you've got a great idea, don't be afraid to fail. Try it, right? If you never do it, if you never try it, you'll never know whether or not it was going to succeed or not. So just take that leap and get it done.
Yeah, just do it. This is something that a year and a half ago didn't exist and is now pulling in significant money on the side. So it's really inspiring to hear what you've built and what you're continuing to build. So Rene, I really appreciate you joining me, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Nick.
There's no question that Rene's business relies on a ton of separate skills, from building a Shopify store to negotiating supplier relationships, from driving profitable traffic to hiring and managing a team. These are skills that he's learned over the years, both in the classroom and hands-on. And that's where today's sponsor, Skillshare.com, comes in. It's not like he was born knowing how to do this stuff, but everything is learnable. And on Skillshare, you can learn all that stuff and more. The on-demand learning platform has more than 20,000 classes taught by practicing experts. It's the perfect resource for professionals who want to advance their career and for side hustlers who want to expand the skills you need to grow your business. Skillshare is like Netflix. You get unlimited access to all these classes for a low monthly price, meaning you never have to pay per class again. And unlike Netflix, it'll actually help your business. Check out the extensive catalog for yourself at Skillshare.com/side hustle. While you're there, you'll notice that Skillshare has put together a special offer for Side Hustle Show listeners where you can try Skillshare for 2 months for just 99 cents. I think you're going to love it. Go to Skillshare.com/side hustle to get started today. That's Skillshare.com/side hustle for 2 months of unlimited access for just 99 cents. All right, my top 3 takeaways from this call with Rene. Number 1 is to find that sweet spot niche. You're probably thinking, man, all the good niches are taken already. But if Rene had thought that, he'd still be on the side hustle sidelines. These sites aren't that old. It's not like he started this stuff 10 or 20 years ago. And there's probably no such thing as the perfect niche. But I loved how he had such a clear-cut list of criteria of what he was looking for. That's really helpful in narrowing down a laundry list of potential products. It sounds like he is really niche agnostic, similar to Greg Mercer from Jungle Scout when it comes to Amazon products, and not that he had some crazy passion for bounce houses. Man, bounce houses, who knew they'd be such a hot side hustle? We just heard from Corey Jeffries a few months ago in episode 280 about his bounce house rental business, and now this dropshipping example. So there you go. Now, takeaway number 2 is fake it till you make it. The dummy site concept that Rene shared was a really interesting one. And I've actually noticed the same thing as an affiliate. It can be hard to get approved for certain affiliate programs if you don't have a site live. And at the beginning, you're like, no, I need the affiliate programs to build the site. At least that was my case with the shoe business. It sounds like the dropshipping suppliers or manufacturers work similarly in that it helps to at least have a placeholder site up so it looks like you're legit. And I think you can be upfront about it. And you can say something like, hey, this is what the site might look like, or here's a beta version of what I have so far. But fake it till you make it. I really liked Rene's dummy site concept, getting those suppliers on board. And takeaway number 3 is paid ads first, SEO second. Rene was able to generate sales right away by driving traffic with Google Ads. It's a beautiful system where a brand new site can instantly compete for the top of the search results for the exact keywords or products people are looking for. But even more beautiful is earning your way to the top of the organic listings with SEO, right? Ads are the lighter fluid. SEO is kind of the overnight log you throw on the fire to burn for a long time. You can't rely on it right out of the gate, but if the fire is ready, I think it can keep you warm for a long time. This was probably the biggest failure point of mine in the shoe business that I referenced, my original side hustle, in that I relied on paid ads for traffic and sales, and they were profitable, but I didn't do a great job of reinvesting those profits into other traffic sources like SEO. But it sounds like Rene is doing that very well. Paid ads first, and then use the proceeds to develop your organic rankings. So what do you think? Viable side hustle? Check out sidehustlenation.com/Rene for all the links and resources mentioned. And I also put together a free downloadable PDF highlight reel with all of Rene's top tips from the call at that URL as well, sidehustlenation.com/Rene. That's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, let's go out there and make something happen. I'll catch you in the next edition of the Side Hustle Show, where you'll meet the guy whose side hustle turned into a location-independent $60,000 a month business. I'll bet you won't guess the niche. I'll see you then. Hustle on.
Thanks for listening to the Side Hustle Show at www.sidehustlenation.com.